Hello everyone, today I will recap the movie Raya and the Last Dragon, 2021. Please watch it too. At the beginning of the movie, the scene appears as a desolate land, with only sand and wind, and water sources that are drying up. Most of the residents here have been turned to stone. Why is this place so chaotic? The answer begins 500 years ago, when this country was called Kumandra. All life proliferates thanks to the divine dragons, who bring miracles, which are rainwater and peace. Kumandra used to be a paradise, but everything changed when the Druun monsters appeared. They caused a strange epidemic, spreading rapidly, multiplying in number and turning everything they touched into stone. The dragon gods fought bravely to protect humans, but were eventually turned to stone. Only the dragon god Sisu remained, who used all his magic to create the dragon pearl and drive away the Druun monsters. Everyone returned to their original state, except for the dragon gods. The divine pearl of Sisu was supposed to be a symbol of humanity's unity. However, the humans became selfish and wanted to fight for the Dragon Ball, leading to the Dragon Ball being kept discreetly and the country being divided into 5 tribes. The first is Dragonheart, located in the center of the country, rich and fertile thanks to the leadership of the chieftain Benja. The other tribes include Dragontail, suffocating desert with mercenaries. Third is Dragon Talon, a floating market with fast-paced trading. Fourth is Dragon Spine, a cold bamboo forest guarded by giant warriors. And finally, Dragonfang, the most dangerous enemy, a land guarded by ruthless assassins and even fiercer cats. The main character is Raya. Although she is young, she has been trained to be a gem. In a final test, Raya enters a cave and discovers a secret mechanism. She asks Tuk Tuk to help her open the way, and opens the stone door, where the water flows upwards. Before she is the legendary Dragon Pearl. But there is a big obstacle. Benja, Raya's father, is the guardian of the Dragon Pearl, and he has sworn that no one is allowed to set foot on the Godstone pedestal, not even a toe. However, Raya bravely rushed forward to attack her father, but in less than a note, her weapon was blown away. In fact, she has just touched the pedestal. He is very proud of she, because she passed the test, and has the honor of becoming the next guardian of the Dragon Pearl. Her father took water and sprinkled it on the top of his daughter's head, the sparkling drops of water flying around the pearl. Benja then tells Raya that today other tribes will visit they. He also teaches his daughter how to use spices from other tribes to make a delicious soup. He said that he would not fight them, but only invite them to eat soup, because the tribes believed that the Dragon Ball brought magic and prosperity to the kingdom. They were once a powerful Kumandra nation, and he hoped that everyone would unite to bring unity to the country once again. And he believed that this would come true. At this time the other tribes have gathered at Dragonheart. Here, Raya met a girl named Namaari, from the tribe of Dragonfang. She invited Namaari to eat rice or soup. Then, Namaari explained with she that the tribe of Dragonfang was not as rich as everyone thought. Namaari also showed she a map, and showed her that the dragon god Sisu was still alive, currently hibernating at the end of the river. Namaari also gave she a necklace with the shape of a dragon god. This is a sacred token. Raya believed in this friendship, and took Namaari to see the Dragon Ball. After seeing the Dragon Ball, Namaari revealed his evil intentions and attacked Raya. However, she was no match for Raya. She fired flares to call for reinforcements. Benja saw this and immediately took out his sword to stop them. The other tribes came one after another, each wanting to take the Dragon Ball. Benja still believed that people would change, but he was suddenly shot by an arrow. When the tribes fought over the Dragon Ball, they accidentally broke the ball into 5 pieces, which broke the seal. This makes Monster Druun returned. They had the ability to petrify people and clone themselves. Benja used a piece to chase the monster away, but the other tribes saw this and took the remaining pieces and ran away. The Druun monster was very afraid of water. Seeing the monster attacking people so ferociously, Benja had no choice but to give his daughter a piece of the ball and throw her into the river. Raya witnessed her father being petrified. She screamed and drifted away with the water. 6 years passed. Raya had become a beautiful young woman, and Tuk Tuk had grown up. She crossed a desert, where everyone had been turned to stone. She stopped to look at the map, realizing that this was the last river and hoping to find Sisu. Suddenly, a Druun monster appeared and attacked her. Raya quickly took out the jade piece, scaring the monster and causing it to run away. At that time, they had arrived at the place they were looking for, which was a rotten ship. The water was still flowing, a good sign of continued life. Raya carefully prepared the offerings and took out the old pendant to make an offering. She did not know if the dragon god Sisu could hear her words, but for the past 6 years, she had searched for Sisu across the rivers. She really needs Sisu to help humans again. She confessed the most difficult things to say, admitting that she had made a mistake in trusting in friendship, turned the Heart Tribe into ruins. She really missed her father, and begged Sisu to bring him back. She took the bottle of magic water from the ancient stone pedestal, and poured it into the bowl of water. Immediately, the water began to flow backwards, the tiny water droplets gathered, and a green smoke covered the everywhere, and the dragon god Sisu had returned. Raya told Sisu the whole story. Sisu had fallen asleep for 500 years, and now the monster Druun had returned. Break the gem. Then, she took out the piece of jade and said she still had one piece. She said Sisu to create a new gem, but the gem was not created by Sisu. When Sisu held the gem fragment, its whole body glowed, which turned out to be the magic of Sisu's sister Amba. They realized that if they put all the gem fragments together, they could defeat the monster Druun and restore Kumandra. At this time, Namaari discovered Raya's ring and followed its whereabouts, and she came to the right place. Namaari rides the cat to the old ship, but by then, Raya has gone far away. After the gem breaks, each piece is held by the leader of the 5 tribes. Then, Raya, Tuk Tuk, and Sisu reach a canyon, where Sisu accidentally knocks down a stone pillar, but Raya pulls Sisu out of the trap. There are many ropes behind them, used to stop humans, and they continue inside. Sisu remembers that they forgot to bring a gift, a symbol of trust, to give to the leader of the Talon tribe. Suddenly, a bug lands on Sisu's nose, with its butt glowing. In front of them are countless similar bugs. They find the gem shard in the hands of a dried corpse. That is the leader of the Talon tribe. She wanted to keep the gem shard for herself, and became a victim of her own greed. Raya uses her father's sword to shoot up to the ceiling and fly to the other side, although she is stopped halfway because Sisu is too long, but eventually succeeds. Raya breaks a branch to reach the corpse's arm and slowly takes out the gem shard, then gives it to Sisu. Sisu becomes human thanks to the magic of her dragon sister Prani. This piece of gem is easy to get, but the other pieces are in the hands of evil bandits. While they are discussing, Namaari appears and asks Raya if she is looking for the dragon god. Raya introduces Sisu to Namaari. She then activates a mechanism that causes sand to fall on Namaari's group, allowing them to escape. Sisu still runs on all fours, forgetting that she has turned into a human. Raya uses the bugs to block Namaari's way. Then, she and Sisu ride Tuk Tuk at full speed. Namaari's group also gives fierce chase. She also explains to Sisu that Namaari was a bandit, causing the Heart Tribe to fall apart. Looking down at the lake, Raya remembers that Namaari's cat and the monster Druun both hate water. Therefore, they immediately jumped into the water, and Tuk Tuk swim to a boat belonging to a boy named Baun. This is Baun's Shrimp Paradise restaurant. When Raya asks for the captain, it turns out that Baun is both a crew member and a captain. Raya says she needs to get to the Talon tribe right away and gives the boy a bunch of money. At this time, Captain Baun ran with all his might to control the boat. However, he was still young, so he didn't have much strength, and Namaari's group was chasing closely behind. Seeing this, Sisu immediately jumped into the river. She transformed into a god dragon and used her tail to fan vigorously. The boat immediately set off. Raya even teased Namaari to make her angry. Namaari got angry and rode her cat back to Fang. When the boat reached a safe place, Sisu freely played in the water because it is a water dragon. Raya had to use her men to cover for Sisu, for fear that Baun would know that Sisu was a dragon god. She told Sisu to keep her human form until she found pieces of gem. On the way back to Fang, Namaji passed by the land of dragon species. Here in the past, the dragon gods fought with the monsters Druun and were turned to stone. She clasped her hands and bowed her head to show respect to the dragon's god. That night, on Baun's ship, they passed a river filled with Druun monsters. Baun asked what the Druun were, and Sisu explained that they were a plague born from the discord of humans. The Druun always waited for humans to become weak so they could attack. They were the opposite of the dragon gods. Instead of bringing water and life to the world, they burned everything to ashes and stone. Sisu dropped 4 petals, symbolizing the 4 siblings who had been turned to stone. Raya and Baun also prayed and dropped flowers, letting each petal float along the river. In front of them was the city of Talon, where the lights were bright and people built houses on the river. This was a gathering place for pickpockets and swindlers. The piece of gem was currently in the hands of the former leader, Dang Hai. Sisu understood and wanted to find a gift for Dang Hai. However, Raya did not let Sisu go anywhere, because she wanted to protect the dragon god. The city Talon was bustling, especially at night when trading activities were bustling. Raya saw Dang Hai's house, but a little girl named Noi distracted Raya. Raya picked up Noi, while the monkeys outside lured Tuk Tuk to eat some fruit. She later discovered that the monkeys had stolen a piece of gem. As it turns out, Noi was the leader of the monkeys. Then, Noi and the monkeys ran across a bridge, but were suddenly stopped by Tuk Tuk, causing them all to fall at Raya's feet. She reminded them that it was not good for children to steal. Noi led the monkeys away. When looking at the youngest monkey's description, Raya realized that Noi's parents had been turned to stone. She asked Noi if she wanted to earn money seriously, and the little girl agreed. Noi and the monkeys then created a circus performance to attract the attention of Dang Hai's guards. Meanwhile, Raya sneaked inside and met Chai, a flower seller. There, she discovered that Dang Hai had been turned to stone, and the precious gem had fallen into the hands of the most powerful leader of Talon, Dang Hu. At this time, on the boat, Sisu was feeling worried. She thought she needed to buy a gift for Dang Hai but had no money. Baun heard this and told Sisu that adults can be in debt. So Sisu decided to go to town and buy a lot of new things. The shopkeepers around started asking her if she had money to pay. Sisu explained that she was in debt and would pay later, but that didn't seem to work. They kept asking her to pay right away. Sisu tells them to wait for Raya, the girl with the 2 Dragon Ball pieces, to come and pay. An old woman named Dang Hu saw this and came to help Sisu, protecting her from the shopkeepers and leading her to her house. When opened the door, Sisu saw inside there were many people turned to stone, and there was also a Druun monster that rushed to attack her. Then, Dang Hu took out a piece of jade and threatened Sisu that if she did not hand over the other 2 pieces of jade, she would be preyed upon by the monster Druun. Right at this moment, Raya appeared and took the piece of jade from Dang Hu's hand. Then she gave it to Sisu. Thick fog covered everywhere. It was the magic of Sisu's brother Jagan. Then, they returned safely to the boat. The group had a new member, Noi, and continued their journey to find the remaining 2 pieces of jade. At Fang, General Atataya informed Queen Virana that Fang is about to run out of land for people to live in. At this time, Namaari, Virana's daughter, had just returned and said that Raya was looking for the jewel fragments. If Fang had these jewel fragments, they could improve the lives of the people. Virana felt proud of her daughter's maturity, who had the potential to become the leader of Fang. She decided to arrange the army for her daughter to attack the spine and capture Raya and reclaim the gem pieces. Returning to Baun's ship, Sisu felt tired of being human. Humans used all means to get what they wanted, and people do not trust each other like before. Hearing these words, Raya remembered her father, and the dream of unifying Kumandra has turned thousands of people to stone. Namaari had betrayed her, and the reason the dragon gods did not return was because humans were not worthy of them. Now, she just wants her father back to the way he was. The boat has arrived at the gloomy bamboo forest called Spine. Sisu takes the pot of porridge and runs straight to find the leader of Spine, Tong. When they knocked on the door, they immediately fell into his trap. Then, as open their eyes, they realize that they are tied up. Tong enters. He knows that Raya intends to steal Spine's Dragon Ball. He calls himself a warrior of Spine, born to destroy the enemy. He enjoys teasing Raya and Sisu. Suddenly, Tuk Tuk, Noi and group of monkeys Ongus rush in, and the monkeys tie Tong up. Outside, Namaari's team has attacked this place. Raya also realizes that Tong is the only survivor in Spine. So, she decides to distract Namaari so that Sisu can escape with the Dragon Ball. She begs Tong to lead everyone out of there through another exit. At this time, Namaari ordered her team to set fire to the. But Raya appeared in time, and she said she wanted to duel Namaari. Meanwhile, she noticed that her friends were trying to escape behind. The 2 started fighting, and she tried to buy time to help everyone get to safety. Seeing that the situation was not good, Sisu came back with the big dragon shape and blew mist at Namaari's soldiers. Thanks to that, Raya's group was able to safely leave the spine. On the boat, Baun asked when Raya would tell everyone that Sisu was the dragon god. Sisu replied that she would go with Raya to bring everyone back to save the world from monsters Druun. The children knelt down to pay their respects to the dragon god. Tong offered Sisu a piece of gem, and as soon as Sisu received the piece of Dragon Ball, it started to rain. This was the magic of the eldest brother Pengu. Sisu stretched out her arms to catch the rain, and the drops of water began to condense. At this time, Sisu can step on water and fly into the air. Everyone is excited by Sisu's power. The boat headed straight again towards the last piece in Fang. Raya shows the map, and the group starts to make a plan. This is the place with the most strict guard among the 5 tribes. The only way to get through is to go by water to the palace, where there are many guards. Baun will take the lead, followed by Tong will use a hammer to crack the ground. Finally, Noi and the monkeys will attack to take the jade piece. Sisu will put them together and rescue mankind. That is Captain Bao's plan. However, Sisu's plan is to transform into her original dragon form and give Namaari a gift. Then, they will hold the piece of gem and dance together. However, they realize that getting the jade piece back is really difficult. Sisu wants to prove to Raya that what she said is right, so she used magic to hug Raya and fly into the air. Before their eyes, the city of Heart appeared. Sisu said, "This was also the place where it happened 500 years ago." Sisu shows Raya the dragon statues, including the elder brother Pengu, the light dragon Amba, old sister Prani, and finally the mist dragon Jagan. Sisu begins to recall the past, when they were the last dragons. The eldest brother Pengu refused to surrender to the monsters, so he used water to create a gem, combined all the magic, and gave it to Sisu. As a result, they were petrified. By placing their trust in Sisu, they gained immense power. Similar, Raya used to think like that. She and Namaari used to be friends. Even if Namaari wanted to help now, she couldn't trust Namaari again. Sisu suggests that if she trusted Namaari, she might be able to save her father and fulfill his dream. Then, Raya places a flower in her father's hand because she misses him so much. So much has changed. She wonders if her father will recognize her. She holds the statue's hand and asks Sisu how to approach Namaari after all that has happened. Sisu tells her to trust in it. At this point, Raya agreed to Sisu's plan. However, Sisu needed a gift to give Namaari, and it turned out that Raya already had one, the dragon pendant that Namaari had given her before. At the Fang Palace, Queen Varana is teaching the children. Namaari wants to tell her mother the good news, but she already knows about it, and her goal is to take the dragon god and the remaining jade pieces. Outside the gate, Noi and the monkeys have defeated a guard, then sneaked into the palace safely. They crawled through the cable and arrived in front of Namaari's room. At the window, Namaari saw a gift package and a small piece of paper attached. She realized that the gift she gave Raya in the past was still kept. On this side, Raya added a little flavoring to the soup pot, making the taste of the soup pot became wonderful. That night, they enjoyed the soup together, and Raya recalled old memories, while Baun thought about her sister. Tong wished to see everyone in the village happy again. From afar, they saw a signal from the Fang tribe. However, before they could get the jade piece, Raya wanted Sisu to hide. The next morning, Namaari has appeared and waits for Raya to arrive. She placed a piece of jade on the rock, and the dragon god Sisu saw that everything was safe, so he appeared. Namaari clasped her hands respectfully before Sisu, but then she suddenly pulled out her bow and arrow, threatening Raya, and wanted to take the jade piece and the dragon god. Even so, Sisu still believed that Namaari was a good person. Sisu used her power to shine to influence Namaari and said that she believed in Namaari. When Raya saw the arrow pointed at Sisu, she felt worried and used her sword to deflect the arrow. However, the arrow hit Sisu, causing the dragon god to fall into the river and disappear. Namaari quickly took the piece of jade and ran away. Raya was angry at the death of the dragon god Sisu, and from then on, the water source began to dry up. Sisu had passed away, and there was no one left to stop the Druun monsters. Then, Varana realized her mistake. At the same time, Raya took the sword and the dragon jade piece and headed straight into the Fang Palace. She decided to end all conflicts, and she and Namaari rushed into battle, neither giving in to the other. At this time, the power of the gem pieces began to weaken. Raya's group tries to save the people, using the gem pieces in their hands to evacuate them from danger, and the Fang Palace began to fall. Although Raya's abilities were not comparable to Namaari's at first, her anger brought great power. She defeated Namaari, dropping the token of the dragon god. Namaari shared her deep thoughts. She felt sympathy for what Namaari said. She realized that this place was being ravaged by monsters and immediately returned to help her team in saving the people. Tuk heads towards the city gate, but is blocked by the monster. Luckily, Namaari comes to their aid. Raya has been waiting for this moment for a long time. The entire palace collapsed, causing the group to fall into the monster's lair. Raya picks up the dragon token and realizes that Sisu is not dead. She still lives in the hearts of the people. Raya understands that as long as everyone unites and trusts each other, the miracle will return. Raya explains that this is what Sisu wishes for, as well as her father's wish for the country's unity. It is trust and unity among the people. She walked up to Namaari and gave her the piece of jewel, then let the monster turn her to stone. Everyone is moved. One by one, respectfully handed the piece of gem they was holding to Namaari. They embraced Raya, and turned to stone. Tong hugged Noi, and the three monkeys stood by Raya, for they were an inseparable team, no matter what the future held. Namaari had considered leaving, but this time she decided to listen to her heart. The gem was reassembled, and she was with her friends. True magic came from the faith of the people, a miracle that could repel evil. Purity had finally won. The heavy rain washed away the dust from the people. Raya woke up, holding her friend Namaari's hand, and they rejoiced in their victory. The streams flowed again, the water flowing into the rivers. Life had returned to them. While the country was seriously devastated, but with the solidarity of the people, rebuilding was only a matter of time. The divine dragons returned to them, and hovered over the waters. In a miracle of rebirth, Sisu returns to this world, and is overjoyed to see her siblings again. She meets Raya, her best friend from her journey to save the world. Sisu runs to hug Raya, and the whole group happily gathered together. Namaari appears. She sees Sisu, and begins to feel moved. However, Sisu pulls her into her embrace. Then, Tong returned to his village with his loving family, and Baun also met his family again. Noi and the monkeys found their mother. Raya rode the tuk-tuk back to Heart, where she met her father Benja after many years. He recognized his daughter and hugged she. The dragon god Sisu appeared, and said him that Raya might bring some friends. At this time, the tribes gathered to greet the leader Benja. The land was truly united, called Kumandra. Sisu saw that everyone trusted each other, and she flew up into the blue sky. If you find it interesting, please give me a like, and leave a comment about this movie. Especially, please subscribe to the channel to follow my movie recap. See you again, my dear friends.